And good morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday morning to you. Welcome back to Morning Musings. My name is Don K. Preston. I'm the president of Preterist Research Institute of Ardmore, Oklahoma. And before we go on, do not forget my two-book special for the entire month of October, U.S. orders only, Circumcision in the New Creation, ? And Marrying and Giving in Marriage in the New Creation. Well, the reason I offer those is because there's been so much interest. Number one, in my response to Steve Gregg, who in his book, Why Not, pardon me, Why Not Full Preterism, he says that this question of marrying and giving in marriage in the age to come is really the death knell. It's the fatal blow to full preterism. Well, I produced a video on that. You need to go back and watch that video. But the remarks, the comments, and the feedback on that video were so good, I thought, well, you know what? I need to go ahead and make a special offer of my book, Marrying and Giving in Marriage in the New Creation, ? Because guess what? The Bible teaches there is, in fact, marriage and childbearing in the new creation. But it also teaches there is no marriage. You go, wait a minute, Preston. What are you talking about? Well, here's what I mean. The Bible teaches that in the new creation, life as human beings carries on earth. But those who are in the new creation, those who constitute the new creation, are not constituted by, not identified by physical circumcision, nor are sons of God produced by marrying and giving in marriage. No. So while we as human beings and as children of God, we marry, we have kids, we have jobs, we go about our human experience. At the same time, we are in a covenantal relationship that is not dependent upon any of the normal human activities like marriage, giving in marriage, childbearing, or circumcision, to be called a son of God, to be identified as a son of God, or to produce sons of God. We produce sons of God by faith. Galatians 3:26 and 27. You're all the children of God by faith, for as many of us as were baptized into Christ have put on, in duo, just like putting on a shirt, just like putting on a jacket. We have put on Christ. That's what it says. So, that's the book special for this month. All right. Go to my website, donkpreston.com, BibleProphecy.com. Wonderful banner right up at the very top. Going to save $10. So take advantage of it. All right. So we are recapitulating. We're going back over in brief form our study of the Olivet Discourse. We're at Matthew chapter 24, 29 to 31. Yesterday, we talked about immediately after the tribulation of those days. And immediately means, immediately. It's very, very closely akin to the Greek word parakrima. Parakrima probably carries more immediacy with it. Maybe not, but some believe that it does. But here's the point. Immediately after the tribulation of those days, the sun will be darkened, the moon shall not give its light, the stars of heaven shall not shine, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. Then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in the heaven. Now look, when I was growing up, I heard preachers talk about, when Jesus finally comes, there's going to be a big sign in the heaven. There are going to be cosmic signs to indicate that his coming is happening. In other words, they believed that the sign of the Son of Man in the heavens meant that there would be a visual cosmic sign, up there in the air. Well, we can be excused for being ignorant of the Greek. We shouldn't be ignorant of what those who know the Greek teach us, but far too many are. Let me cite just a few sources here. Among the postmillennial writers and commentators, Kenneth Gentry, Gary DeMar, Joel McDermott, Keith Matheson, Peter Leithart, who is not technically a postmillennialist. I could give you a list of scholars this long that are both conservative as well as not so conservative. Among them, R.T. France. Among them, N.T. Wright. Among them, Jeffries. Among them, W.D. Davies. All of these men agree. The force of the Greek text in Matthew chapter 24, verse 30, does not say that there would be some visual sign in the heaven to tell us that Jesus is coming. No. Now look, this was one of those epiphanies to me. When I discovered what the Greek actually teaches, what it actually conveys. The force of the Greek text here is that the events that they would visually see. What are the events that they would visually see? The Great Tribulation. The abomination of desolation. Those visual signs would be the sign that Jesus is enthroned in the heavens and that he is functioning with the prerogative of judgment committed to him by the Father. In John chapter 5, 21 and following, Jesus said, "From henceforth the Father judges no one, but has committed all judgment to the Son, that henceforth all men might glorify him as they glorify the Father." Folks, do you catch the incredible power of that statement? Jesus said the Father's not going to judge anymore. He's given me that prerogative, that authority of judgment. I'm going to judge as I have seen him judge. Well, let's see. How had Jesus seen the Father judge? Well, I wrote a book years ago entitled Like Father, Like Son on Clouds of Glory. The name of that book was given to me by Dale and Marlena Robbins. Fantastic title. I thought it was too long, but it's a fantastic title. Anyway, it is an exegesis of Matthew 16, 27 and 28, in which Jesus said, "The Son of Man will come." Do you catch all these references to the Son of Man, ladies and gentlemen? And do you remember what I said yesterday about the Son of Man being taken directly from Daniel chapter 7, 13 and 14? The coming of the Son of Man in the days of the Fourth Empire, i.e. Rome, in judgment. In judgment. So the Son of Man shall come with his angels in the glory of the Father, and shall reward every man according to his works. Scholars are basically agreed on something, ladies and gentlemen. They are agreed that Jesus saying he was going to come in the glory of the Father, he was saying he was going to come as the Father had come. He was going to come in the same manifestation of glory that the Father had manifested. Well, ask yourself the question, had the Father ever come out of heaven, literally, visibly, bodily? The answer to that is an unequivocal no. So here's Jesus in Matthew chapter 16, 27, saying that his coming and judgment was going to be a coming and judgment just like the Father had come before. That means his coming was not going to be a visible, literal, physical descent out of heaven on a cumulus cloud. he was going to manifest his sovereignty, his authority given to him by the Father, and he would judge in the way that he had seen the Father judge. Now, you got to catch this. I'm running out of time already. Over and over and over in the Tanakh, the Old Testament, God said he was going to bring judgment against this people, this city, this nation, this kingdom. And he would bring that judgment by means of this kingdom over here. He used Nebuchadnezzar to judge the Egyptians. Ezekiel chapter 30, Ezekiel 32. He also used Nebuchadnezzar to destroy Jerusalem. And he said, see, I have put my sword in the hands of Nebuchadnezzar. Now, we don't really believe, do we, please, that Yahweh had a literal sword. Hitler believed that. Yeah, Hitler believed there must be a literal physical sword of the Lord, and if he could just find it, nobody could whip him no matter what. Weird dude. Anyway, what God is saying here is, Babylon is my tool, my instrument, my sword. Just like he said in Isaiah chapter 10, 5 and 7, O Assyria, the rod of my anger, the staff that is in my hand. He does not think it's so. In other words, he doesn't think he's my instrument. It's only in his mind to tread down and to destroy the nations. He thinks it's his God. No, it's me, Yahweh said. So what was God doing? God, in his sovereign power, was using one nation to judge another. And by the way, when he did that, guess what? He was said to come on the clouds. Behold, Yahweh rides a swift cloud and comes into Egypt, and the river is dried up. There are no birds in the sky. There are no fish in the river. Chapter 20, the Rabshakeh, the chief general of the army of Sargon, king of Assyria, came into Egypt and destroyed it. Yahweh didn't ride a literal cloud. Now, I say all that to say this. God used this nation, judged that nation, etc., etc., etc. They were his instrument. The Father gave Jesus that judgment prerogative. When the Father did those actions of judgment in the Old Testament, exercising his sovereignty, he did so, and he said, I'm going to do this that they may know that I am God. You catch the power of that? That's why he sent his prophets to declare judgment is coming. The Lord will use Nebuchadnezzar to destroy the following nations. Ezekiel chapter 25, including Egypt, Pathros, Cush, Edom, etc., etc. And he said, I'm going to do it that they may know that I am God. Jesus said he was going to come, having been given the judgment prerogative. He was going to come in judgment, just like the Father had come. And in 1 Timothy chapter 6 and verse 15, Paul said, that Jesus, in his own time, shall reveal who is himself, the one true God, the blessed potentate, the King of kings, the Lord of lords. Yeah, that's Jesus. Paul wasn't saying that Jesus is the Father or that the Father is Jesus. He is saying that Jesus was exercising the full authority of the Father because that authority had been given to him. He was now one with the Father. That's what he said. The Father and I are one. And the Jews set out to stone him. And he said, well, okay, for what good work do you stone me? And they said, well, we're not stoning you for any kind of a good work, but because you're a man, but you're making yourself out to be God. They understood what he was doing. So in 1 Timothy chapter 6, Paul said that Christ in his own time would reveal who is the one king, the King of Kings, Lord of Lords. Okay, if you want to try to make that the Father, you're wrong, but look at Revelation chapter 19, 10 and following. In the apocalypse, the unveiling of Jesus, which is kind of what 1 Timothy chapter 6 is all about, although it uses the word epiphany. He comes out of heaven and riding a white horse. A sword proceeds out of his mouth, and on his thigh he has a name written, the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. Who is this? Revelation chapter 1 and verse 8. I am the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. The first and the last. All of those are the names given to Yahweh, the titles, I should say, given to Yahweh in the Old Testament. So in the destruction of Jerusalem, orchestrated by Jesus, enthroned in the heavens, empowered by the Father with full judgment authority to judge as he had judged, to show that he, Jesus, is God. He is King of Kings and Lord of Lords. The fall of Jerusalem was to be the signal sign for people to recognize, after the proclamation of a full generation of time, that Jesus was going to come in judgment of that city, in vindication of the martyrs, and those who knew, those who believed, those who listened would now know when they saw the city fall. Jesus is King of Kings. He is Lord of Lords. He is enthroned in the heavens. He's not coming back as a 5'5" Jewish man to be revealed once again as a man. He was manifested as the King of Kings. That, ladies and gentlemen, is what Jesus meant when he said, they will see the sign of the Son of Man in the heavens. His exercising of his judgment prerogative that the Father had given him, so that he would judge, so that men would honor him as they honor the Father. That's the force of Matthew 24 and verse 30. And man, I'm out of time. Thank you for joining me. Hey, I'll see you Friday as we continue our discussion of Steve Gregg's book. Thanks for joining me.